So, we're going to do something a little different this time.
We're gonna do a book discussion, and we're gonna do one every month. I had a list there. So this month we're gonna go ahead and do Stephen King, The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. It's not very much of a big book.
It's like 220 pages or something like that, if even that.
But yeah, mine, it's 220 pages almost.
200? No, that's his.
Yeah, about 220.
219. Doesn't even make it to 220.
So what we'll do is we'll just kind of give you an overview of the book itself, and then we'll go into depth, what we like, what we didn't like, etc., etc. And then at the end, what we'll do is we'll pick, we have a little jar here. It has like 50 books.
I've contributed a lot to that list.
Yeah.
She contributed, Nikki contributed the most, Amy the least,
Yeah.
I was in the middle. But I did put in some ones that are smaller, so if those happen to get picked and we are aware of the size, like they're really small, we'll pick 2 that time. So we'll be doing this at the end of our book club review or our book discussion. This will be like our own book club, and eventually, when we have enough subscribers, we thought about maybe doing it live, which would be really cool.
Yes.
So that is basically what we'll be doing. So let's get on with it.
All right. So, Stephen King's The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. This is, oh gosh, it fits many genres. Sci-fi, fiction,
Baseball elements.
horror, like she said. Yeah, it fits so many. I actually think it's a really good introduction to Stephen King if you haven't read any of his books.
Yeah.
Now, let's see. We did say Stephen King. This one was published.
It came out in 99, right?
Yes. Yes, because it was from, the games were from the 98 season, he said.
Yeah, 99.
Yep. So, it looks like it was, let me make sure I do this right.
99 copyright.
Yeah. But I'm looking for the publisher. So, it looks like, I'm going to say it's Scribner?
Scribner. Yeah, and then
Publishing with the design, the front cover design by Eric Hobbing.
that's an interesting way to spell it.
Yeah, and of course, copyright, all rights reserved, Library of Congress catalog, all that fun stuff. Okay, so summarize content and theme.
This is about a girl who gets lost in the woods, pretty much.
Her name is Trisha McFarland, and she goes on a hike with her mother and her brother, who are arguing through the whole thing because her brother's a teenager, and you know how teenagers can be.
And they moved away from Massachusetts
to
to
Maine.
Of course, it takes place in Maine. If you don't read Stephen King, you'll soon realize all of his books take place in Maine.
Yeah.
Because that's where he's from. Or at least that's where he lives.
Bangor, Maine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and the thing is, the precedent, what kind of starts it is that their parents had separated. So the brother is really kind of upset about it.
Yeah, you know, teenagers have to go to a new school, make new friends, and he's not adjusting well, and he gets picked on.
Yeah.
And he wants to just go back and live in the city with his father.
And
with his old friends.
And Trisha, she's the one that's trying to hold everyone together.
Yeah, she's the peacemaker. She just wants everyone, you know,
to get along.
Yeah.
So basically what happens is they go to this hiking trail in the Appalachian Mountains. I don't want to give away too much, but they pass this one area and she's like, I've got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, and no one's paying attention to this poor girl. She's like, hello?
Yeah.
Gotta go to the bathroom. And her brother and her mother are still yak, 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 you
and
know?
they're still walking away.
Still walking away. And she's like, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to go. I'm going to go down this other little trail really quickly, and I can then just cut through to catch up to them.
Biggest mistake ever.
Biggest mistake ever.
It launches her through the book.
She gets lost. And boy, is it an adventure.
Yeah.
The one thing I learned, I guess up in Maine, they have swampy areas.
Well,
I would have never thought a
the
frozen
woods.
place would have had
Well,
swampy
it's not
areas.
frozen. What do you think it is, Antarctica? It's summertime.
Yeah, so...
But I
It
guess
wouldn't be
for me,
frozen in the summertime.
Well, Indiana has swamp. Just a lot of it was
True.
made into... I almost said frostland. I meant farmland.
true, but
It's like any other forest.
Yeah.
How
We
many
don't
forests
have any
have I
weird
been in?
different forests.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been in. I've been in the forest of New Hampshire. I haven't been in the Maine forests.
What I have to say is, reading the book, she did a lot of things for being as young as she was. She did a lot of things
That pretty much saved your life.
that saved her life. She did a lot of right things. She was a very perceptive little girl.
Other than keep
moving.
moving deeper into the woods.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a mistake.
She actually ends up, this girl,
She crossed state lines.
she went into New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Yeah, she walked a lot.
Yeah. I think they said halfway through the book she had been like 30 some odd miles.
No, that was like towards the beginning. She
Yeah.
went farther than that. She
Yeah.
almost went to Canada.
Yeah,
She almost went to Canada.
all she had to do is just keep walking.
And she's a really big Red Sox fan.
Yes,
Mhm.
that was the premise. What kept her going was she loved Tom Gordon, who is a true live person. He did pitch he was a closer for the Boston Red Sox, and basically,
She listens. She has a Walkman that
Yeah.
that shows you
That's
how
like-
old the book is.
Yeah.
Walkman.
A Walkman.
And she listens to the Red Sox games at night. It helps her, to get through the night. Because she's only 9.
It's her link
But she's
to
big for her
humanity.
Yes. She's 9, but big for her age.
Yeah.
And so you're in the woods alone at 9 years old and really dark. I would freak out, and I am not 9.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of helps her through the night, and eventually she starts seeing Tom Gordon walking with her, which is strange, but it helps her cope.
It helps her cope, and it develops very well. I thought Stephen King did a very good job of that progression for coping mechanisms. Being a young child and being lost in the woods alone, terrified. He wrote that very well.
And with very little food and water too.
Yeah.
She had her lunch because she had her backpack for hiking, but it wasn't like
Yeah, she had a tuna sandwich, thing of chips, Twinkies, some
a-
celery,
and,
a thing of Surge.
and some water.
And
That
some water.
tells you how old it was, because she had Surge. When I read that, I was like, oh my god, Surge! It got outlawed in so many states.
Not at this point in time, though.
No, that just tells you how old.
How long was she gone for?
She was gone
was
for
gone
over
for,
a
like,
week.
Over a week. Almost 2 weeks, bordering.
Because
So,
she was
I mean-
lost on a Saturday, and I think they found her the following Monday or Tuesday. Oh, the one thing that I found that I don't want to say liked in the book because it makes you angry when it happens, but he throws in during the search for her, someone calls in an anonymous tip saying, what was the guy's name? But some guy who had been known to molest children, kidnap and molest children, they called up and said, hey, she may no longer be in the woods because so-and-so.
No, they said she's no longer in the woods. She's
Yeah.
with this guy in this type of
You
van.
probably have this much time until she's dead.
Yeah. Which is, you can see it happening in real life.
Yeah.
This echoes a lot of what could happen in this type of situation. You have people who, watch out for those types of people, and then they turn in a false tip, and it just puts another layer to...
Well, poor Trisha's still in the woods walking.
She's stuck, in the woods, and now they're diverging this way.
Yeah, and they're, like, closing the, searching...
The search area, the
Yeah,
grid.
they're, like, making it smaller when she's way outside of it.
that.
So it's like you're reading it, you're like, no! She's actually lost in the woods.
It makes you angry when you're reading that, and it's just like, no! It gives you the feels.
Yes.
Gives you the feels you want to throw the book like,
You're like,
why?
no, stupid people! Widen your search.
Yeah.
Even though you
Yeah,
don't
'cause
think
they
a
really-
9-year-old can walk that much.
Yeah, they really didn't widen their search that far from where she got off at.
They're like, oh.
Well, she can't walk that fast. She's only a 9-year-old.
Yeah, but you think
She
a
was-
9-year-old in, like, panic mode.
Yeah, and especially
Like-
since there's rocky terrain.
And she
Yeah.
did fall a couple of times. She did take a couple of good beatings. I mean, first time she slipped down a ravine type thing and got herself cut up pretty good.
Yeah.
Ripped her Red Sox shirt.
I can't find his name. It
And
was an
it's
Italian name,
Not really
anyways.
that important.
Nah.
But to have that put in there, I mean, that's something that would happen. Like they said, that's something that would happen today. Someone would make that anonymous call and say, hey, check out this person. And then that, unfortunately, she may have been found sooner and not so far away from home had that not happened. Now, what makes this, you may be thinking, well, isn't this is a thriller? Where's the scary
scary
part?
Like the horror.
Well, we're about to go into some spoilers, so
Yeah.
if you don't want it to be spoiled,
Yeah.
I would.
Turn off now.
And
Flashy, flashy,
Yeah.
flashy. Spoilers!
so, what makes this?
Scary.
Thank you.
There is kind of something
Following
following
her.
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 It's like hunting her.
And it's feeding off of her fear.
Yeah.
And it's like she has dreams.
Like she had one dream. There was in the field across the river from her. There was a field, and there were two white butterflies and a black butterfly or moths. And she started hallucinating because she was eating.
Was she hallucinating?
We don't. She
Well,
wasn't.
yeah.
She said she didn't fall asleep, so it could have happened.
Yeah, it could have.
It could have been a dream.
It could have been a hallucination, or it could have been real.
Yeah.
But there were these, I'll call them beings. One was the god of Tom Gordon.
Because he would point up to the sky.
After every save,
Yeah.
basically thanking God. The second one represented her father, or the god of sub-audibles, because her father really didn't.
That was a cool way to explain. It's not denominational, but it was a really good way.
Yeah. And then there was the god of the lost. And the god of the lost
Is
was
creepy.
described as like skeletal-like, but his face, he had like black eyes, like hollowed out eyes that had like maggots coming out of them, and wasps.
Bees. Yeah.
And I think part of it is she did get the first ravine that she fell down. She actually landed into a tree that had a wasp nest, and she got stung quite a bit by the wasps. And you're thinking, well, did that kind of play into, if she was hallucinating, did that play into what this god of the lost looked like? Well, you don't know.
And then as she's traveling during the day, she's seeing like claw marks in trees. She's finding dead carcasses, which I have to say, it gave me the chills when she was
Yeah.
finding these things.
Like dead deer.
The head of
like
a
the
deer.
head of a deer, like a leg that was propped up.
Yeah, it was posed.
It was like-
posed.
Like just the leg propped up against another tree. And like the hairs on the back of my neck,
Wasn't there,
I was just like, oh my god.
wasn't there one hanging in the tree? One or two hanging
That
in the tree?
was a hallucination. She did
That was a
see
hallucination?
Deer's like
Yeah,
body,
yeah.
like intestines and stuff
Okay.
hanging
Yeah.
from a tree. But that was towards the end of her journey when she was
Okay.
like,
Going
Yeah.
yes.
loco, out
It
of her
was,
mind.
oh my
'Cause
gosh.
she was like really sick at this point. too,
yeah,
like,
because she got
pneumonia.
sick from the water
Plus being outside.
elements. Yeah.
So, and in the in the end, I mean, like we said, she ends up in
like a field.
New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Basically, the reason why she kept walking is she read in Little House on the Prairie. I think her father, Charles Ingalls, had told the girls, Laura and Mary, if you get lost in the woods, follow a river because it will eventually bring you to a road. And that's what she was trying to do. She was trying to follow a river to get to a road.
Didn't work out.
She got very, very close.
Oh yeah. If she had kept following something,
if she would have just went up a little, she would have made it.
Yeah, but she, at
instead
that
of
time,
turning deeper into the woods.
But at that point, she didn't want to because it went into another swampy area, and she didn't want to trudge through it. So, and I can understand that completely, but it just sent her.
It's like you're reading it, you're like, no, you were so close.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so eventually, by like day
whatever
8, 9, whatever it was, she does come to this clearing where there is a post. It's not a stump of a tree, it's a post.
And in one of her dreams, Tom Gordon showed her this post. He was flicking a hinge on it. And when she saw it, she's like, I know this from somewhere. And then Tom Gordon shows up and he's like, yeah.
Remember this?
It was a dream.
Yeah.
So she starts following this post, and then she finds
Kind of a road.
an old road. And along this old road, she finds an old rusted out car. And it starts raining, so she goes, and through this whole time at night, she has this feeling that something's watching her. Always, at night.
Well, not just at night, during the day, too.
But more at night.
Mm-hmm.
And so she climbs up into the cab of this old rusted out car that literally has a tree growing out of the engine area.
And it has tons of chipmunks in it.
And yeah, the chipmunks live, yeah. And when she wakes up the next morning, there is a dug up hole right in front of
It's
where
around
she,
the
it's
around the vehicle.
Like something was
like
there.
a circle, like something like.
walked circles all night.
I
around.
was initially, as I was reading, I'm like, oh, it's a protective circle. Someone's protecting her, and I'm like, wait a minute.
It's the thing in
It's
the woods.
the thing in the woods.
Now this thing could be a bear. Could be.
And it's written to the point where you're rationalizing as you're reading. This is a bear.
You're
She's
thinking,
seen a bear.
claw marks. Bears eat animals.
Yeah,
I don't know
especially
if
It's plausible that
Yeah.
the deer head that she found could have fallen down the slope that was right there into the food that she was trying to eat. But I mean, you're trying to rationalize, and at the end, I mean,
well, she finally does find a road. But she has to get to the road. And the god of the lost, he shows up. He physically shows up. Actually,
And he
you think he's a bear at
like
first.
a bear.
You think he's a bear.
mhm.
Very large bear.
A very
Yeah.
large black bear. And,
Because it says that he stands up on his hind legs.
but also when he runs, his gait is that of a bear.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something off about the bear.
Because the bear has
Yeah.
wasps for head.
Or in its head.
And yeah. So it basically tells her, listen, if you can make it to the road, I'll let you go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And by this time, she's weak. She's running a fever. She's got pneumonia. She can barely breathe. She hasn't eaten very much. She's living off of berries and nuts, literally. And she had a couple of fish that she was able to catch. The ingenuity of this little girl.
Yes.
She took her blue poncho, which had been shredded when she fell down the ravine.
She took a rock and tore off the hood and used that as a fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a little net.
Yeah. I mean, what 9-year-old is going to think, let me tear this up and use that?
But when
Very
you're
smart.
hungry, you get creative.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So he tells her, if you can make it to the road, I'll let you go. And how can I say this? She starts running. And as she's running, he starts running after her, and she's like, well, wait a minute. My Walkman's run out of batteries. And she's thinking, Tom Gordon, it's the bottom of the ninth. I'm in a safe situation. So she goes into the pitcher's pose, the setup, and she's getting ready to throw this Walkman at this bear. And a shot rings out. And then another. There actually ends up a guy who was hunting deer illegally. He shows up and he sees her, and he thinks it's a bear that's chasing her. He thinks in the beginning that it's a bear.
Yeah,
But then he sees something, and he's like, what did I just see? I can't tell anyone because he's a drunk, and he knows that people are not going to trust what he says. He thinks that they're going to pretty much almost institutionalize him if he says anything. He's the town drunk, but that's when you know
it wasn't
a bear. And as you've tried to rationalize throughout the reading of the book, you're like, holy crap, it was. Holy crap.
It was the God of the
Lost. All that stuff
probably
really did happen. Like, the God of the Lost probably was really there.
But so he ends up, rescuing her. She does end up throwing the Walkman and basically pings the bear on the head, or the God of the Lost on the head. And he goes running off, And I think the one thing that we did miss was, okay, so what's going on with her parents and her brother whole time that she's gone?
You get snippets.
Yeah.
But it's not like a lot.
It's not a lot,
So
but you get snippets.
They end up at a hotel.
Well, I mean, that's
Yeah. But, I mean, the dad comes from Massachusetts, who, I guess because of the divorce, or before the divorce, he becomes an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And she talks about it throughout, her character talks about it throughout the book, about her dad and how the family, how it broke up. Okay, so reactions to the book. Ladies, interesting, entertaining?
Yes.
You look bummed?
Both of those?
Yeah, the book was really good. I think it's a really good introduction to people who don't read Stephen King or that type of book in general, where there's a supernatural element. It's done really well, and it made me react while I was reading it. I didn't wait until after to analyze it. He was writing it so well. I was analyzing as I was going because I was trying to rationalize what she was seeing. So, yeah, really good.
Yeah, definitely. Like she said, like Roberta said, it's good as an introduction to Stephen King. Also, if you're a baseball fan, even if you're not a Red Sox fan, it's a really good book.
But if you're not a baseball fan,
it's a good book.
Don't let that get.
It's not.
There's anything.
I mean, he makes references when she's listening to the games. He makes references to the games, and some of the players. So I mean, but you don't have to be a huge sports fan to love the book. Supernatural fans, horror fans, fans of Stephen King, you'll like this book.
It's my favorite Stephen King book.
The pacing was really good. The progression of the story was done very well. I thought he did a good job. Like, her progression and her coping mechanisms were done really well. It wasn't like something was missing, where it was like, well, that doesn't make sense. That didn't happen at all.
Okay, explore the issues that the book raises. Was anything missing? Was there too much of something that maybe distracted from the book or from the storyline? I really don't think so. I don't think there was anything that drew away from the storyline. I mean, they threw the curveball with bringing in that other storyline of the pedophile. But that, I mean, again, that happens in even today's day and age. What about any issues that the book brings up? Maybe parents pay better attention to your children?
Always turn around and look at them when you go for hikes.
Yes. Teach them just beginning survival skills.
Well, she wasn't taught beginning survival skills. She was just taught because her mom went out in the wood.
Yeah.
They would go out on the weekends, and a part of the reason that they were arguing is because the son didn't like doing anything. He wanted to be at home. He didn't want to go out when it was something that they had done as a family together as well. So the kid was resistant. I don't know what I was going to say.
He was a typical teenager. A rebellious teenager. Can you relate anything to any other books, any other authors, similar issues, anything like that? I mean, besides Stephen King is the king of horror fiction. To me, he is.
Yeah.
I mean, most of his books do hit upon horror, but to have this, focus on a child, a 9-year-old child.
Well, I think for Supernatural, I haven't read anything else like it. Nothing else like it.
Should there be more books like this?
If there is, I don't know. So suggest.
Yeah, we're open to suggestions. If there's books that you've read that are similar to any of the books that we're about to read each month and you'd like for us to read and review, hey, we may throw it into the jar. Let's see. So, summarizing. Did you like? Did you dislike? Could have it been done better?
No.
Is it worthy of people's time?
Yes,
definitely worth people's time.
It's such a quick read. 224 pages. I work in a call center. I read it.
19 pages.
Okay, 219 pages, not including the little blurb at the end by Stephen King. I work in a call center, and I read it in, 3 days, 4 days? If even that.
Well, it seemed like you took a long time to read it, because, I don't know.
I would read a couple pages and get done with it, read a couple pages, but that was just me. It wasn't the book. But once I really got into it, I got into it. So, okay, so I guess, how would you rate it if we had a 5-star rating system? What would you give it?
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. So, I guess it's a really good book. Okay, so here's our list of books that we want to read. So, we've decided that each month, on our birthday months, we're going to choose. So, next month is my birthday month. So, let's see. So, next month, Finding It by Cora Carmack.
Which is very funny because we are going to go meet her next
month.
Which is that is so appropriate. You nailed it, Amy.
That is so cool. And that was, as you can see, that was random. So if you want to read along with us next month, we will be reading Finding It. And I think I read Losing It a couple months ago. So
January, when you read 15 books.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Kind of went downhill after that.
Sorry. Okay, so again, that's going to be Finding It by Cora Carmack. I'm excited. That means I've got to go find it, or I can load it onto.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
Target has it. That's where I got my copy.
Oh,
So,
there we go. Tag it.
Target is everything.
Yes, Target. So.
Except for Cinder.
Yeah. They have it, just not the one we need.
Hardcover.
Hardcover.
So, until next time, enjoy. Have fun reading.